SMAnutrition.ie sponsors Temple Street Children's Hospital.
In the Accident and Emergency Department, Alex continues to be observed closely by the medical team.
We have to do our bloods now every hour. Yeah, maybe we'll be getting a bit of insulin to make those horrible ketones go away. It just happens from time to time, you know, the bloods go high and the ketones just appear. You know, it's the ketones, you can't really prevent them. Like, you do everything properly, like you keep the bloods down, but the ketones just appear, like.
If the sugar level is very high, we won't give them any sugar, obviously, in their fluids, and we'll be checking them regularly and checking their blood quite regularly when they're coming in initially, maybe every hour, and we'll be checking their bloods that often and titrating the fluids, giving them a little bit of sugar if their sugar is coming down. It's very, very slow and gradual, and very much dependent on what the child is doing and how they're coping with it. Decision will be made whether Alex is well enough to go home and, I suppose, fight the illness that she has at home, or whether she needs the support in the hospital.
Feel well again.
The diabetic team would you know, instill in parents the importance of knowing how sick she can get, I suppose, without trying to scare people either, but to know when they need to seek help.
The vast majority of children with diabetes have a form called type 1 diabetes. And type 1 diabetes is a condition where the pancreas stops working. So under normal circumstances, when you or I eat our dinner and we absorb our food is broken down into the components, into protein and fat and carbohydrate. When we absorb carbohydrate and our blood glucose levels start to tend to rise, we make a hormone called insulin from our pancreas, and that brings the blood glucose level back down to the normal range. If you have diabetes, unfortunately, your pancreas stops working, so it's not able to make that insulin anymore. And as a result, your blood glucose levels tend to rise out of control.
After being monitored throughout the day, the decision is made to admit her overnight.
What precipitated Alex coming into A&E is that she'd become unwell. So she developed what we'd all call a tummy bug. She had some vomiting and wasn't able to therefore eat properly. And when somebody with diabetes is vomiting, it's a little more challenging than the rest of us, because if you have diabetes, you do require insulin to keep your blood glucose levels in the normal range, but then you also have to balance that with some carbohydrates so that your blood glucose levels don't fall too low.
Yeah. So the needles are gone, you know that, don't you?
She was extremely pale, had a tummy pain, and really wasn't able to eat anything, and had vomited a lot before she came in. With the diabetes, because you have to give her a certain amount of glucose to balance her insulin, we felt it was probably just easier to give her the fluids overnight.
So I've just made a tiny cut in the tympanic membrane. Suctioned out some fluid there from the middle ears.
In theatre, Rory is asleep and surgery has begun.
In terms of the procedure, it's a day case procedure, so they're in and out within the day and don't even necessarily spend the whole day here unless they've got, you know, vomiting or some problems after the procedure. He was just asleep for about 10 minutes, and during that time made a little cut in the eardrum and sucked out any fluid that was there, and put in a little tube called a grommet to try and stop that problem occurring again. It's a very common procedure, but it can be very effective, particularly in children with Rory's condition. In his case, his hearing should be back to normal immediately. Any speech problems he may have will take a little longer to resolve.
Just after waking up there now. Still a bit sleepy, are you? Yeah.
Next 2 to 3 days anyway, regularly. Are you worried? Are you worried? No. That's for you. That's to say you are so brave. Yay! Yay! To Rory from all the staff on the day ward in Temple Street. That's for being so brave. You can hang that up at home now.
The next morning, After recovering well overnight, Alex is also on the way home.
Hi, Gran. How are you?
Are you chicken? What are you?
Well, Alex.
How did you get on last night?
I was fine.
Yeah? Are you ready to come home?
Yes.
And see your
Say
Uncle
hello to
Kieran?
Bunny.
Hi, Bunny.
Hi, Bunny. We missed you.
Bunny coming home too?
She was on a drip all day long, so they just had to keep her in for the night just to get her bloods up and stuff, like, because her bloods were low and that because she wasn't eating. Yeah, so she couldn't have her at home, like, you know. So hopefully now she's been on the drip for 24 hours. So hopefully now we'll be getting her home. You don't really sleep, like, you know, because of somebody in every hour check, you know, doing the bloods and stuff. So you don't really, but you're kind of used, you know. That's part of it, like.
What we gave to Alex when she came in was fluids, so because she got a little bit dehydrated because of her condition. So we gave her some IV fluids, we gave her some glucose in the fluids that she was getting, so that balanced the insulin nicely, and then that allowed us to give her extra insulin. And the extra insulin cleared those ketones very quickly, and then once that sort of whole cycle of decompensation was reversed, then she completely perked up, and then she obviously also got over these tummy bugs tend to be quite short-lived, and got over that, and once then she was back to herself, back to normal. The next morning her blood's completely returned to normal.
I'd put on some of the spray.
It won't hurt you. Oh, Ted.
This is the magic one. Have you got this one before?
Yeah.
Brilliant, isn't it? What are you going to do now for the rest of the day?
Going outside in my pajamas.
Aren't you? To check on your sunflowers?
Yeah.
You're so lucky. Can I go and steady you? No.
This is a ketone. It's a little thing and it's mean because it makes you sick. I'm going home.
A week later, Mark returns to Temple Street. Following successful heart surgery, the team were able to investigate his airway.
They were able to bring him to the operating room and they were able to visualize his trachea. It is a weakness of the wall, but it is not a stricture, it's not a rigid, like an hourglass narrowing of the trachea. So what this means for him is that going forward is that we'll have to reassess to how we're going to deal with that. He will have quite acute or quite involved care for the next few months to years.
Several weeks before Mark was born, we knew there were some difficulties because he wasn't growing as quickly as his brother. And the team in Cork, they had to do quite a bit of work to try and prolong the pregnancy to 35 weeks because they wanted to give him as much of a chance as they could. The first 24 hours after Mark and Aaron were born were very, quite traumatic. The consultants have always, given us that hope at different times, and as I say, the pediatrician doctors we've had have, they lay it out, and they're often not able to. I mean, nobody can say what's going to happen in the future. I mean, Mark ultimately is deciding a lot of these things himself on how he's going to react to the treatments, but the hope is key. And the chaplain team here in Temple Street have just been fantastic to us as well. Just to come and sit with us and pray with us at times has been another source of comfort. I mean, obviously we're praying for Mark and for the family, and I guess for Mary and I, we're praying for strength to be able to get through this, and for the doctors and the medical team here that they're able to you know, they're able to take all of the signals that Mark is giving them and work through that. We don't look too far into the future. I don't think it's wise to look too far into the future. You know, the saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I think with Mark over the last few months, you really have to take it one day at a time. You know, our families are just tremendous in how they've come together and helped us to be able to get through this, because without them, you know, we wouldn't be able to spend the time with Mark that we need to.
Know how to care for your toddler. Nutrition advice for you and your toddler. SMAnutrition.ie proudly sponsors Temple Street Children's Hospital.